All right, peeps, welcome to the Culture and People cast. Today we have John Fitch. John, in a few sentences, would you tell us who you are and what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. Honored to be here. And I hope everyone takes a moment to be grateful. There's a lot to be grateful for right now.
Mm.
And in a few sentences, I am a small town, like raised on a farm cowboy type that somehow got into tech, then somehow got exposed to being a workaholic, which then didn't work out for me. And in a humbling state, I wanted to study another way of being and have been studying the art of rest and intentional time off, not just as burnout prevention, but actually fundamentally believing that your best work is often done outside of work. So we wrote a book called Time Off, myself and my co-author Max Frenzel, and the book's been resonating and shifting us towards a calmer culture. And I spend my time helping people design their own rest ethic.
I love it. And I was sharing with John before we started, guys, that I'm really proud of my starting a rest ethic and my kids really young. We've all taken time off, but right now we're on a week sabbatical from school. No talk, no assignments. And I think it's really important for all of us to disconnect. So I appreciate the work that you and Max are doing. And you're doing so much really to help organizations, systems, leaders advance their people and culture. For you, what's the best thing about working in this type of space?
Yeah. Well, there's a simple question that I often do, but anyone listening who leads a team could do, which is sit there and instead of talking about the work, spend an hour to workshop with your team. What did they do this weekend? What do they do in their free time when they leave work? Literally don't talk about work. Talk about non-work,
Mhm.
and you'll see everyone's eyes light up. You'll see who those people really are. Yeah, sure, they have that title and that role and they care about the company or the project, but they're much deeper than that.
Yeah.
And when you find them express about their hobbies or what they do in their time off, you will see the real them. And my question to all leaders is, don't you want to harness more of that? That
Right.
authenticity? Because what Susie does in the kitchen and what Mary does in the carpenter shop or what Rick does in the martial arts practice, there is symbolism there. There is characteristics that make them unique and special.
Mm.
And that's all we want in our culture and our talent is people that are very unique and interesting. And we often never talk about this stuff. So that's what we help teams do, is to honor what they do outside of work, not as a nice to have break, but actually a strategy.
Mm. A performance strategy in the end, right? Yeah, I love it. I love it. Okay. So I'm hearing from a lot of leaders, engaging talent is a challenge. I'm curious with what you've seen, especially trying to shift culture to more of one of rest and time off and the rest ethic, as you say. What are your thoughts about this whole engagement is a challenge?
Yeah, well, a lot of times I think when I see lack of engagement and lack of enthusiasm, it's because people are spinning their wheels doing the same thing.
Mm.
We like to point at it as visible busyness. So, this kind of obsession with just being busy. I would summarize it this simply. I'm guilty of this in the past as well. And I know a lot of people that are guilty of it now. They think that the equation is quantity of input equals quality of output, whereas the truth is it's quality of input equals quality of output. To increase engagement, focus on quality of input.
Mm.
We all want to work smarter, not harder. I haven't met a single person who doesn't want that.
Mhm.
So, to increase engagement, work smarter, not harder. And to do that, you have to occasionally pause, zoom out, detach, ask yourself the question, is all this hard work actually working? Most
Mm.
of the time, it's not. Therefore, let's change things up. When we change things up, we get excited, we're engaged. And again, going back to my earlier example, ask people, what do they do outside of work? They will be engaged. They will tell you, this is my hobby, and here's these photos, and this
Yeah.
is what I do, and this is why it's important to me. Great. Let's bring that into our work.
Yeah, and I almost think COVID has allowed more space for that, right? Like I was talking to an organization the other day, and they're doing a cooking video challenge within all their employees, right? They're exchanging that. So you're getting to see inside home, and then home and work is blending a little bit more, as it should, which is really nice. And by the way, the whole comment of oh gosh, I totally had this thing I was going to share with you. Anyway, it'll come back to me and I'll keep going. So what advice, let's get really tactical for people. I mean, obviously we've given some advice on the bigger picture, but where can people start, right? I want to advance my culture and my people, especially in this area of rest ethic. What's some tactical steps they can take?
Sure. I think the first thing to analyze is, when does it make sense for someone to have time off? Meaning an oscillation between projects is how I like to think about it.
Mm.
So let's take paid time off, vacation, put that in a bucket, put it away. Let's go deeper than that. So every team has cycles that they work on things. If you're a product team, you're releasing a new feature or launching a product. If you're a marketing team, you have like a campaign with a certain date.
Yeah.
If you're supply chain, there's certain seasons of supply and demand. So again, it's going to be subjective for the teams, but analyze sort of, I like to think about the 4 seasons wheel, like
Yeah.
take a little biomimicry, and there's a season to plant, there's a season to tend, there's a season to harvest, and there's a season to rest. That is going to, that narrative applies to a given team. So ask yourself, when would it make the most sense for us to actually take time off because we just finished something significant? Because after you finish something significant, we like to say it's like having a work hangover. You need an IV. You need to hydrate again. You need to reset. You need to rest and reflect.
Mm.
So we all know that we have to, but I don't think enough teams think about, well, when actually could we do it to where we're not hurting the business? It actually is a strategic timing. How I got open to this was, I started a firm in New York, and we made rest the #1 part of our organization. And the way we worked was 3-month builds, 3-month cycle builds, so that we knew at the end of this quarter, we were going to have a month off before we started up another one. Now, that's not going to work for everyone. That was our unique rest ethic, but we thought about when.
Mm.
And then after that, we could talk about some of the specifics of how to properly prepare, how to make the most of it, and how to integrate back. But you have to start with when actually is that, because then people can look forward to the light at the end of the tunnel, if you will.
Yeah. I think that preparation, right? The prepare, make the most of it, and then reintegrate back into, because, let's be fair, most organizations aren't going to be able to do the 3 on 1 off, but they can think about their peaks and valleys. Even for me, when I ran HR, I didn't come from HR. So it was a new experience for me, and learning about like open enrollment time and, how you need to avoid almost for an entire month of work. Just understanding our ebbs and flows and our commitments to the business on all sides was really helpful for us. And I think that timing is great. Thanks for the tactical.
Yeah, great question.
Yeah. So what about a shout out for any other leaders doing this, really, as Brene says, the work in the ring around people and culture?
Ricardo Simler comes to mind. His work, his TED Talks are really special. Let's see. I think Ariana Huffington, who we profiled in the book, who is a great example of what can happen if you don't have rest time, or as they call thrive time.
Was that her book about that? It was Thrive, right?
Yeah. And now she has a media company. She's a profile in our book. We tell her story and kind of how she sees the future of work. And then I think Greg McKeown of Essentialism. I think the book is written for an individual, but if you apply the lens of essentialism to an organization, again, work smarter, not harder.
Yeah.
One easy way to be not overwhelmed is to not say yes to everything, to be really specific, to be really focused and intentional. And you not only will increase the saturation and the quality of something, but you'll actually find yourself like bored. And
Yeah.
bored is good,
Hmm.
because bored is much better than overwhelmed.
Yeah.
So those are some people that just come to mind because, again, Ariana gives a great example that burnout's a real issue.
Yeah.
Ricardo, similar, just about wild ideas like full transparency in an organization. So there's trust. If there's trust, people can take time off
Yep.
and honor time off.
Mm.
And then lastly, what's essential?
Yeah.
And
I
always
think those
asking
are
that
great.
question.
Those are great. Those are great shout outs and resources, right? They've all got really great resources. Are there any other tactical resources that you would recommend if a leader says, all right, I'm ready to dig my hands in?
There's this book out there called Time Off. I heard it's pretty decent.
Thanks for that.
Yeah. Let's see. There's another book by Dr. Alex Pang called Rest. We drew a lot of inspiration from that. I also really love the 37 Signals team who created the software Basecamp. They
Yeah.
have a couple of books that I think are brilliant for any business to dissect, even if you're not in software.
Okay.
Uh, their latest title is It Doesn't Have to Be Crazy at Work.
I love that book.
The title says it all.
Such a good one.
And then let's see, one more I can say is it's less about a book or a podcast or social media, and it's more just like Pixar movies. So I think
Yeah.
they're powerful narratives, and they bring us close to our child's mind. And at the end of the day, we're still children, really. Um, I think the most talented creatives are just children that never grew up. They refuse to be called adults. Um, and yeah, I think watch some Pixar movies to get back to your playful side and bring that playful side back to you at work.
Yeah, I agree. My 10-year-old twins definitely keep me childlike at times, but I will tell you, and I don't think it's Pixar, I think it's Disney, but Moana, that movie spoke to me so much about my wild
Yeah.
spirit. And then this like woman at the end, oh, it was just magical. So I totally agree. Like, we sometimes need to look in the kids section for inspiration
Yeah,
also.
and kids play, and
Yeah.
we need more play.
Yeah.
Why so serious? Why so serious? Oh,
Okay.
one more thing I forgot, and I'm so glad this popped into my mind. If I was to actually recommend a book above ours, it's Bronnie Ware wrote the book The 5 Regrets of the Dying. One of the 5, so she spent years with people on their deathbeds. She
Wow.
extracted all the wisdom of many people on their deathbeds. Think about the density of that. And one of the 5 regrets is I wish I wouldn't had worked so hard.
Ooh.
You'll have to read the book to find out the other 4, but that book is amazing and brings it back to this back to essentialism.
Oh, thank you, John. I that's not on my list yet, so I'll definitely add it. Sounds like a deep and a meaningful one. So
Mm-hmm.
I would want to thank you for all you're doing for people and culture in the world of work. I mean, we need more people in the ring like you, and can't wait to see what you guys keep doing.
We need you too. Let's keep putting in the reps. Hey,
You know
and
it.
just like boxers in the ring,
Yeah.
there's rest. There's
Yes.
always rest between rounds, and especially rest after the hard training camp.
Yes. Go to the corner. Take your vacation. I love it. I love it. Well, thanks, John.
Thank you.